Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for joining me for yet another video. I first want to begin this video with some shout outs. Hey! The first shout out goes to Amaris Reddick, and that is hopefully how they pronounce their name. If not, I do apologize. You are a new subscriber, so welcome, welcome, welcome to the book lovers. I hope you find a review that piques your interest and makes you want to pick up the book and read it. And I hope in the future that if you do read one of the books that I have reviewed, that you will comment. Thank you, Amaris, for your book suggestion. Also, it will be entered into the handy dandy vase for a chance at becoming a future bonus read. So thank you for making that book suggestion. And again, welcome, 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 Amaris Reddick. And then the next shout out goes to Cedric Liggins. Thank you for your compliment. I appreciate the positivity. And then Reading with Tara, you commented on the video for book review. You made a fool of death with your beauty. And yes, 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 that was very much a Messy Boots book. And I was here for it. And so want to know what happens next. So yeah, I'm ready for the next part of that juiciness. So those are the shout outs for this video. Hopefully in the future, if I can see that you have subscribed, you could be mentioned in a future shout out on a video. If you've made comments, in the future, I will more than likely be responding to them via in a video. So, just to let you know. And so, let's go ahead and get into this current book review. And it is called Hold You Down by Tracy Brown. Okay, and this is the cover of the book. Yep, that's the cover of the book. Got two beautiful ladies on there. Definitely love the color scheme on there. Definitely love that. So that is the cover of this video's book. Okay, so let's just dive in. Okay, let's just dive in. This story involves Mercy, Lennox, Dion, and Judah. Now there are supporting characters, but these are the main characters for the story. Okay, and this story will go on an emotional journey with this family. Okay, and they endure love, loss, navigate the mean streets of Staten Island during the crack epidemic era. They endure many hardships, poverty, violence. I mean, yeah, this family has gotten the business of life. Okay. Mercy and Lennox were raised by their grandmother, Mama Lula, after their biological mother ran off. Okay, and so Mama Lula gave them a fairly comfortable life. She had, minimal means, but she made the best of it and gave them a moderately nice life. But the girls had hopes of a better and brighter future. Now, Mercy was the studious one and did her best to stay out of trouble and on the right path, whereas Lennox was the feisty one that longed for the glitz, glam, and money. Now, they both had children at an early age and found themselves in the projects barely making it. Now, Judah was just like his mother, Mercy. He was very smart, kind, kept his head in the books, pretty good kid. Dion was smart, but didn't care to show it. He was more like his mother, Lennox. He was fearless and more interested in popularity and being the cool kid. Dion envied Judah for the materialistic things he had, okay? And Dion envied Judah because of the present and attentive mother he had. So they both kind of envied each other for what the other one had that they didn't, okay? And so life was no picnic on Staten Island, and things took a turn when Lennox hooked up with Gerald, aka G. Now, G had a connect named Benny that was supplying him with cocaine, which he then turned into crack. G has always liked Lennox, but really, I mean, who didn't have a thing for her? She was gorgeous, she had the body, you know, and everybody kind of just stopped and turned their heads to watch her walk by when she was on the scene. Well, G had gotten his money up, and so he was looking fresh, got him a new ride, and so he was looking good these days, and Lennox decided to give him the time of day for once, okay? So G was obviously happy about Lennox changing her mind to even speak to him, okay? G was comfortable enough to tell Lennox his operation and eventually put her on. Okay, they became partners in getting their share of the street drug pie. G wanted to be more than partners after Lennox gave him a taste of her goodies. However, Lennox decided there was no future with them other than a business relationship. But that did not deter G from making his attempts at coaxing Lennox into a much deeper relationship, which she definitely turned down. Now, Mercy was not happy about the decision Lennox made to become involved with something that was changing the city for the worse and was absolutely dangerous to become involved in. Mercy was scared for Lennox and this game of Russian roulette she got herself involved in, but Lennox was 10 toes down in it and got a rush from being in this lifestyle. She loved the glam that she was able to now afford. She was getting an adrenaline rush from breaking the rules, and she thought she could just outsmart the game and make a better life for her and her family. Well, you'll have to read the book to find out how that panned out for Lennox, okay? This story was heartbreaking and is indicative of what is happening for thousands of people and generations after generations, okay? You see this in real life play out all over the country, well, all over the world, really. Hopelessness, greed, uncontrolled anger, feeling trapped in your circumstances, unresolved issues, betrayal, and split-second decisions ruining lives. I mean, this book touched on all of that, okay? And you will have to read the book to see how all of these aspects play a part in this family's journey. Now, there are some possible triggers. I mean, the totality of the story can be a trigger, okay? But more specifically, there is rape described, there is death, poverty, drug usage, hardships of single parenthood described, There's sexual content, there's physical violence, and there is murder. I mean, so yeah, there's a range of triggers in this book. If you are not on an emotional roller coaster when reading this, I suggest you check your emotional meter, okay? Because I cried about 85% of this book. I mean, the way the author wrote it, I am sure she intended to evoke emotion. Because I cried. I mean, I was reading it, and the tears were just flowing down. And my friend was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was just like, it's the book. I literally had to put it down just to kind of like breathe and get my bearings, because I was just like I kid you not, have your tissue handy because I needed it, okay? And it seemed like it just wouldn't stop, because it was like, man, at one point I was like, man, I'm emotionally invested too much in this book because I just keep crying. And maybe it hit me differently because I have felt some of these things in some form, on some level. So, I mean, I cried for the mothers, I cried for the sons. It was just a cry fest. I mean, till the last page, I was like, I mean, like, seriously, I was, kid you not, I was crying. Now, call me a crybaby, but I was crying throughout this book, okay? It was emotionally tugging. I mean, I was like, oh my god. Maybe it's just me. It may be just me, but it had me crying, okay? I think this is going to be another bestseller for this author, if it isn't already. It's so raw, and it is so real and relatable. I mean, this author took a dive into so many aspects of drugs and poverty culture and human nature versus nurture. I mean, it was just, there were so many areas that the author touched on that are so relatable and identifiable that you're going to feel some type of emotion. I wouldn't see where you wouldn't have some type of emotion. Now, if you don't, I want you to definitely comment. If this did not faze you one bit, if it did not trigger any emotional pull on you, I want you to comment, because I want you to explain it to me. I want you to explain why it didn't. Now, the only thing that I can say that it might not is because it's not anything new. Okay, I mean, the things that the characters go through aren't anything unheard of, but the way that the author writes it should evoke some emotion. And if it doesn't, I definitely want you to comment. Okay. So there were no discussions provided. After reading this, you will have so much to talk about. I am sure you would be able to come up with a plethora of questions on your own. But I'm going to go ahead and give you some to get the conversation started. So one topic of conversation can be, are the sons just a product of their environment? If they were in a different environment, would these decisions have been made? Would these actions have occurred? Topics like nature versus nurture, the grief process and how each character dealt with it, the fight, flight, or freeze reflex when faced with danger, and how each character responded to their danger situations. The generational passing down of character and mindset. I kind of talk about how the sons kind of represented the characters and mindset of their mothers. Now, is that generational passed down? Is that just a product of their environment and what they saw? Or is that somehow like ingrained in them? That could be a good conversation. Is a negative reputation more powerful than a positive one in certain circumstances? Is street life worth the consequences of prison or death? Is that fast money worth a short lifespan? Why is fast money glorified? How prison affects not only the body but the mind and soul of a person. Did absentee fathers play a role in the outcome of these young men's lives? Can you ever be released or redeemed from your actions when it negatively impacts the lives of others, especially those that have tried to assist you time and time again? As parents, especially mothers, to what degree do you give up on your dreams and put that energy into making the dreams you have for your children come true? And how long can you hang on to a person and be of support when they have given up on themselves and life? How much is your freedom worth to you? Well, this is plenty of good conversation to get you started. And like I said, once you read this book, this is probably not even scratching the surface. You could probably take a deeper dive into all the aspects of this story and come up with some great conversation. This book is 327 pages. And I've read it. I did not find an audiobook copy, and I am actually glad that I read the physical copy. I don't know if it just made it more real, more in depth. They would have to get a very good narrator to relay this story if they were going to do an audiobook version. To tell you the truth, I was looking at Facebook the other day, and I saw Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo from the Cosby Show, or I think that was his name. Well, him. I think his name is Malcolm Jamal Warner. I think. But anyway, he was on some radio show, and they had this like video clip of it on Facebook, and he started reading a poem that I'm assuming that he wrote himself, and I just thought, man, he would be an awesome audiobook narrator. And as I'm talking about this book being narrated, his voice is popping up into my head like he would probably do this book some justice if he were to be the narrator. Just my 2 cents, but if this book is to be narrated, they are going to have a darn good narrator, okay? Because if they have a lackluster narrator, it is going to jack up this story, okay? So just whoever may be listening, you got to have a powerful voice as the narrator for this book that is going to bring it alive audioly. Just saying. It is classified as urban fiction. If you did not know by now, I am giving this book a 10 out of 10. Okay. If you haven't read the book, I highly suggest that you do so. After reading it, let me know what you think. And if you have read the book, comment your thoughts. No spoilers though, because we don't want to ruin it for potential readers. This book, by far, is the best I've read for a few books. This book had me emotionally invested. It kept me turning the pages. I wanted to know how things played out. I was cheering and hoping and wanting, and man, I can't tell you what happened, but wow. I was, okay, let's just keep going. Okay, so sidebar. When writing up what to say about this book, I thought about something I wrote like years ago. I am not a rapper, so don't shoot me, okay? I'm not a rapper. I was just writing something that popped into my head, and I thought, yeah. But I'm not a rapper. I'm not even going to try to rap it, okay? I'm just going to read it. But I wrote it, some years ago, and I thought, man, I think this is befitting for this book review. So, yes, it is my own intellectual property, okay? And I wrote it December 10th, 2016, okay? So, here goes. You want to be on top. You want your name recognized by many. There ain't nothing extraordinary about standing on the block handing out death sentences. Nothing but a cell waiting for you. Not the ching-ching you was hoping for. Nothing but a bullet from a coward just like you, waiting to pull the trigger. Pop, pop, now who's on top? Who's calling your name? Mama screaming, why my baby? 6 feet under and forgotten by many. No respect and causing chaos and destruction. It's time for a resurrection. No time to delay. They have your name on the plaque, but if you're not with it, they'll take it back. Make your choice, the burial plot or a seat at the top. Claim your crown or lay at rest in the ground. So that was it. And I thought, when I was writing what to say for this review, I was like, yeah, I remember writing that. Let me throw that in there. It's kind of on par for this story. Even though I wrote it umpteen years ago, it is still relevant today and goes quite handy with this story. So that is all I have for this round. So should you feel inclined to click that subscribe, like, or share, I would greatly appreciate it. Definitely hit me up with your comments. I want to know what you think. And who knows, you may be given a shout out in a future video. So as always, keep turning the pages, my book lovers.